everyone, and welcome back to this week's episode of Etymology Today with Jennae. Today we are going to talk about one of my favorite things in the whole world, animals. So before we talk about the origins of animal names and where they come from, let's talk about that word itself, animal. It seems like it's something that's been around for a really long time, but it actually hasn't. It comes from Latin for anima, which means breath or soul. And it really didn't come about until about the late 14th century and didn't become popular in usage until the 1600s, when it replaced the word we were using before, which was beast. Beast wasn't around a whole lot longer either. That comes to us from the French and wasn't around until about the early 12th century. What we used before that was a word that comes to us from the Old English and basically just means wild animal. And it's a word that we still use today, and that word is deer. Cool, huh? Now, when you look at a lot of animal origin names, a lot of them do come to us from Latin or Greek, and usually they're descriptors. It tells us something about who or what the animal is. So you take a word like rhinoceros, which seems like, oh my gosh, how am I going to break this down? That is a crazy word. But let's separate it in half. So we have rhino, which means nose, because if you think of someone who has had a rhinoplasty, they've had a nose job. And then cerus. Now cerus itself is a root, and you'll find it in other words like triceratops or keratin. Keratin, that tough fibrous protein that makes up our nails and our hair, and also makes up rhino horns. So rhinoceros, horned nose, there we go. And then when we go back into the ancient Greek, again, we get those descriptors. So when you research what, say, the word ostrich means, it means big sparrow, which, okay, close enough, I guess. And then words like hippopotamus, which mean river horse. When you think about words like tiger, now tiger goes back to the ancient Greek, but it actually goes back even further than that, to ancient Asian languages, to actually an ancient Iranian language. And we're not 100% sure what tiger comes from, but we're almost positive that it comes from that ancient word for either sharp object or arrow. Now, one of my very favorite animals to explore the etymology of is the bear. Now, bear itself, when you look at it, seems like, okay, you know, it goes back to the Old English bera. But no, let's go back further. Let's go back to the whole family of Germanic languages that mean bear and all the different versions of it. Let's go back even further to the version before that, the Proto-Indo-European word for bear, which basically just meant wild animal. Now, this is where it gets really exciting, because before that, the word came from ancient Greek, and the ancient Greek word was arcto. Now this was a problem for people back in the day. They didn't want to say arcto because they thought if they said the bear's name that the animal would appear, like Beetlejuice, I guess. And so they thought, you know what, we're just not even going to use the name, because then what if it magically appears? And this is when we get into what is known as a taboo avoidance term. They started just saying wild animal, what became the word for bear. Instead, it's like the ancient version of Voldemort, right? This is he who must not be named, the bear. And so they started using that, and of course it became the common word. But let's go back to arcto. Arcto, even though that is an ancient Greek word that we don't use anymore, we do, because it's where the words for Arctic and Antarctic come from. Let's talk about the Latin name Ursus or Ursa, which means he bear or she bear. We've got constellations that are named after that. We've got names. Ursula literally means little she bear. And then let's talk about those ancient Germanic names, all of that whole family of them. We still get proper names from them. We get Bjorn in the Swedish. We get Bernard, which just means bold or brave bear. Beowulf means brave warrior. All of these things, all from a silly old bear. And I think that's really cool, and I get really excited about it, obviously. So hopefully everyone learned something new and fun today, and we look forward to coming back and talking about some more etymology next week. Hope everyone enjoyed. Thanks very much.